Well, hello everyone. Good day to you. We're starting another video here on Candida albicans. We see this all the time. People are always asking me about Candida. So I think it was a good video to do here in a short run here for you to look at the whole world of fungus. Because we've talked a lot about this before, but I think that, the idea of having these shorter videos, you can go to these sites and you can pick right up on them and you can look at what you need to look at. So I'm going to do a short video on literally about everything out there, so you guys won't have to be moving through this. But you guy who categorized these, who contexted these, we love you. You did such a great job, and we thanked you at school too, remember? You did such a good job, my friend. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's start out this video talking about Candida, which is a yeast. Now, years ago when I had health food stores, we sold brewer's yeast and we sold nutritional yeast, because that's how people thought they would get their B vitamins, is through fungus, which is true. Remember, you get a lot of your vitamins from bacterium and fungus and stuff like this in the body. As this whole thing of creation is so cool. And how God did it is so cool. I just feel like man has insulted the Creator like nobody's business. But this is just creation. It is just a nothingness. And we play with chemicals. We hurt our physical bodies. Okay, then we get in other physical bodies, whatever. Okay, but it isn't who we are, no question. But still, we're even in this very dense chemical universe and realm, having some fun would be nice. So we have to feel good to have fun, and we have to look at all these things. And we blame the little creatures of nature for everything. You notice that? Man blames everybody but himself. And it's time we stop and start looking this way. Oh, what am I doing that's creating these problems? So let's look at this a little bit with the Candida, which I'm going to use the word fungus, because Candida, yeast, moles, all part of this. Warts are probably more viral, but still, you have to understand what virals are for. You have to understand what bacteriums are for. We blame these guys for everything under the sun, and fungus. So let's look at the world of fungus for a minute, and then maybe we'll bring our other little friends in with us. But the world of fungus, when we look at creation, we find the activity of birth, life, and death. And nothing escapes that. It's simply a process of forming atoms, taking these atoms and have a certain duration of atoms, and then how we break and rearrange these atoms into other forms. Because here on this, creation is what we call already created. It's already done. You can look ahead or back at the Akashic records. And the Akashic records are kept in what's called the causal world. The causal world is that part of your mind that creates. It's that part of your mind that comes out and functions through duality, where you have positive and negative, yin and yang, and the mind functions between these two magnetic poles. And it uses thought processes to accomplish that. And it compares and rationalizes these two sides of life. And so you have a constant thinking process of rationale, relationships, comparisons, and things like this. When you start opening your consciousness or your awareness beyond the mind, and you start realizing the mind is the chatter that's going on, and that you can put that to the side and you can enjoy the beauty of the now, then you gain control of that mind. So my point here is that creation is duality. Creation is the movement between, the electromagnetic movement between two poles. We can call it electrons and protons. We can call it, you got all kinds of things. Positive poles, negative poles, yin and yang, males and females. However you wish to look at it in chemistry or whatever. So, in understanding that, we have birth, life, and death. And foods go through that same process of birth, life, and death. All of them do. We go buy a banana, and as we watch the brown spots come on the peel, we know that it's going through the cycle of birth, life, and death. The cycle of life, as Disney World calls it. So, when we start the process of death, though, we need help. And the process of death, as we enter into that, whether it's foods, whether it's the human body, we have the little creatures of nature coming in to help us. And that's what their job is. Bacterium loves sewage. You've got worms for cells. You've got all kinds of fungus for carbohydrates, carbon. You've got proteins, which are very bacterial. So you've got all these different creatures to help. Virals help coming in to identify weak cells in the body. We've talked about the difference between high viral loads, whether they seat or not seat. So we've talked about that on past videos. Fungus is involved in fermentation. Fermentation is the process of decay of carbohydrates. Your fruits, your berries, your melons, your salads, and things like this. And carbohydrates, carbon can be found in meats, can be found in cheeses, it can be found everywhere. And of course, bread is the epitome of carbon, since it's complex or poly, dyed of poly, meaning two or more, saccharides, which are sugars, and makes it a complex sugar. So when people blame fruit for things which are simple monosaccharides, of fructose, that's not the problem. Sucrose, maltose, dextrose, those are more problematic because they're complex carbons. They're complex multiple chain carbons. So what we have is complex sugar. Now, what gland in your body is responsible for sugar metabolism? The adrenal glands. Cortisol is well known to be involved in sugar metabolism. We call it the stressor steroid, but really, does people really understand what that means? Cortisol is cholesterol-based, like progesterone. Notice progesterone is your counter to estrogen and testosterone. So if you're looking at this through the poles of base chemistry or alkaline versus acid, we know that your corticosteroids are base and your acid steroids like aldosterone, testosterone, and estrogens are your acidic steroids. Not down to the 3 pHs, but certainly somewhere between 4 and 5, somewhere my guess is. Never seen the pH of testosterone or estrogen. If anybody knows, I would like to know. I've tasted these steroids and they're not that acidic, but they are a little acidic. So, when you're looking at fermentation, there has to be someone responsible for that process, and enter fungus. We should have a natural, healthy growth of fungus in the body. Just a natural process of fermentation overrides and stuff like that. The body keeps it all in check just fine, no problems. What we're facing is a society of major weak adrenal glands and high polysaccharides. So somebody said grains were good for you. Now, in desolate places, in arid places, when you don't have fresh foods, you still, we ship out all the rice, we ship out all this. It's keeping these people alive, no question, but it's also creating bowel problems. It's also creating heavy fungal problems, just a lot of problems, gluten problems. And it's just that we need fresh, baby. We need fresh and alive foods. Send dates, send figs, send dehydrated foods. And your dehydrated fruits and berries and melons and salads. Let them have foods that you can hydrate there. So when you have weak adrenal glands and you're consuming polysaccharides, you're going to invite a lot of fungus problems in the body. There's no question about it. And that's what you see. Because you cannot metabolize that level of sugar, you're going to have a lot of fermentation. We also get a lot of fermentation because we mix proteins and starches. So when you mix proteins and starches, you know they don't digest because proteins requires hydrochloric acid and pepsin, and then when you're getting into your starches, you got amylase, ptyalin, and the like. So you've got two opposing digestive enzyme issues going on here, and you always have putrefaction and fermentation. You literally almost stop digestion. For those of you that are getting very healthy, just go out and have you a protein starch. Eat you a sandwich. Of course, you're not going to kick your butt a little bit, but you're going to feel that sitting there and sitting there and sitting there in your stomach. And during that, you start to feel bloaty, gassy. That's fermentation or putrefaction with the meats. Each one of these, fermentation or putrefaction, requires an intermediary, whether it be bacteria, fungus. So, we are people that are loaded. Now, the other component to this, which we've discussed, is sulfur. We are fanatics with sulfur. Sulfur, someone asked me a question about MSM. I think all sulfites are bad. You shouldn't get rid of all of them. If you're going to get them natural, your sulfates in your foods, you get them componently locked. You get them synergistically bound. But I can tell you, stay away from the sulfurs. Sulfurs are not good for anybody, and they exacerbate, they spawn, they explode candida. So all of you with the orange in your eyes, you know you have heavy candida problems, fungal problems. And you can see that. So that is part of the problem. People blame fruits all the time for fungal problems, and I just want to throw up. This is simple sugar. You've got to be really low in the adrenals. And it's true you could. If your adrenals are so bad you can't even metabolize, and me and Marcy's going to do a video on this, but we're going to do a video on diabetes. And so you can understand type 1, type 2, what's up, that sort of thing. All diabetics are full of fungus. I mean, this is a serious problem with sugar metabolism, and the sugar metabolism is essential for us to get ATP, adenosine triphosphate. So when we have weak adrenals like this, we are having sugar metabolism problems. Hence we see low blood sugar, hypoglycemia, and then eventually we see hyperglycemia called type 2. That is sugar metabolism problems. When you're experiencing sugar metabolism problems, you're going to have a lot of fungus in you, and especially if you're consuming grains and things like this. Notice that when you have fungal problems, moles growing all on you, you ever see those people that have moles growing on them? That's adrenal gland problems. When you're not metabolizing sugars, you're creating major fermentation throughout the body. You're going to have little creatures coming to eat. They like to dine on you. That's why we use the word terrain or culturing mediums, because they're just came for dinner. And that's what you have to understand. You can't get mad at them. You have to understand the journey you're on here and what's up. If we're to learn anything in college, it should be the ways of nature, not the ways of some pseudo theory that ends up being changed every so many years anyway when smarter people come in or more aware people come in. So getting away from theories is a good idea for man right now. So keep in mind here that to get rid of Candida, use Parasitum in the body. You might have to stay on it because every time you detoxify, you have beds of this web Candida. You're going to clean out beds of Candida off and on all the time. So you want to keep Parasitum in your medicine cabinet, if I can use that word, and to have for when you feel like Candida's up. Because when Candida's up, you're going to crave fermented foods. And fermented foods are breads, cheeses, those sort of things. And you're going to want them. You're going to crave them. It's not you. Fungus. Hungry. Dinner time. So just remember, if you have, don't go nuts over Candida and blame Candida on everything. I've seen people like that. You see these lists. If you got this, this, and this, and this, 20, 30 different symptoms, you have a Candida problems. I mean, we got to get out of this, I don't know where man is. Man is just weird in his blaming everything but himself and understanding the reality of how things work. Nobody's taking the time to teach you. Medical doctors don't even know themselves, so they can't teach you. And when you start asking medical doctors sometimes questions, they get pissed off and shut you down. Only anybody gets pissed off asking somebody a question simply means the person doesn't know how to answer you. Because if you have the answer, it's a relatively, here, this is why. You know, we don't have all the answers, that's for sure. But we have a lot of them, and we have enough of them to help man get himself well at least. And then with all you YouTubers and you smart people out there, you're going to take what we've laid, the groundwork we're laying and have laid, and expand it. That's if you can stop the negative forces from coming in on us. And that's the FDA, that's these highly criminalized federal agencies who are creating mafias of allopathy and pharmacology and making it so you can't wiggle out of that. They're getting stricter on herbs. Now there's something about labeling. They don't want to lay liver on a formula of herbs. So this is why we got to go and sue them. And this is the problem. Here we got to go again. They can sit up there and use taxpayer money and stout all they want. That's why we have to change the governments. These type of governments like America has can't exist anymore. You just can't exist anymore because the government is actually part of the problem. And they should always be part of the solution. Now they become the problem. And it's not just in this country, but that's what the mind and narcissist system builds. Anyway. Let's go back to this Candida. And this was a case right here where this individual, and thank you, Buck, for that. 864 videos and going strong, man. Let me see. If a person has Candida, is there for a reason, right? Absolutely. See, and that's what you have to understand. You can detox this out of the system and everything, but don't make no mistake. What's serious is that adrenal weakness. That's what's serious, because that adrenal weakness leads to the neurological side. Remember the autonomic side? We just talked about asthma and all that on that side, but you've got all the anxieties, you've got all the heart arrhythmias, you've got a whole bunch of stuff on that side. And of course you get the tremors, you've got the fainting, and you've got all the MSs and the Lou Gehrig's and the Parkinson's. That's part of the autonomic and parasympathetic as well. So this is a big deal. And so, just remember, let's see where we are with this, that we create our own things, and that there is a reason. And I like what you said, Buck. There's a reason for everything that's going on here. And that's what spiritual people do. They pull out of this focused attention, which leads you nowhere but lost. Because you're so focused, you can't see the whole and how all works together, because God made everything work together. If we're just looking at the pieces of everything, you lose so much. And you lose your freedom, you lose your joy, because you're so focused on matter. And there's no expansion with matter. There's an expansion with consciousness. That's your attention, that's your view, that's who you are. You can expand yourself like nobody's business. Either by fermentation in the gut from starch. You're right on, Buck. Would it be right to kill them off with parasite M? Well, I have to say this. Yeah, we can get overgrowth in the body, especially with the sulfurs. I mean, this is the other problem, is all the sulfurs. And of course, sulfur has two bad issues: suppression of the lymph and exacerbation of fungal problems. So I would kind of stay away from much of that as you could. You notice that if you have sulfur problems and you eat the cruciferous, it can make you more gassy, bloaty. And for those that are sensitive to sulfurs, they get gassy, bloating, having broccoli and cauliflower and Brussels sprouts and cabbage and things like this. And somebody once said, well, these are the anti-cancer foods. What? What in the hell, pardon my French, is people thinking out there? Because antibiotics are more sulfa drugs, then this is going to be better because cancer is a bacterial problem? You just have to understand the side of chemistry that's called acids, and the side of your body that deals with that, and that's that gigantic lymphatic system, interstitial fluid, that is the lymph fluid. That has to deal with all these acids. So when you start looking at this, you'll see why we're in trouble here. But Buck, you're walking down a good road here, man. I like this. Or would it be better to let the fungus do its job and focus more on detoxifying the body through the adrenals? Well, focus on that. Do the parasitum on the side and forget the fungus. Because you're going to have a kill off. You're going to clean the body. You're going to fix the adrenals so you can metabolize. This is why it's so important to go to simple sugars when you're high in fungus. You got to go to simple sugars, fruits, berries, and melons. If fruits are too aggressive for your lymph system at this time, go to vegetables. I don't care. And build yourself toward the fruits, berries, and melons. They're the aggressive side. And stay away from the breads and cheeses. That's the real Candida cravers. I mean, I've said this before, and it's in another video, but since we're doing this, I'll show you this. On your kitchen counter, put yourself a piece of cheese, a piece of bread, even whole grain, I don't care, and a handful of grapes. All right, now, if fruits are so bad with fungus, how come I don't see any fungus growing on the grapes, but bread and cheese getting mold all over them? Mold is fungus, right? So you got mold and all over the bread and cheese. Why? Because they're fermented foods. The grapes will get mold on them. When? Exactly, when they start to die, when they start to ferment, when they're starting to give up their atoms so we can use them for other things. So don't blame the fruits. Blame the breads and cheeses, if anything, but go to causative factors, adrenal glands, sugar metabolism. Fix your adrenal glands. Get your kidneys filtering. Get your lymph system cleaned out, and you will be on top of the world, guys. Now look at this. Buck is suffering from chronic fatigue. All right, so right there, you know Buck's dealing with the adrenals, which I think he knows. Pressure in the head, not good, Buck. Okay, work on those neurolymphatics going down the back there. Get those kidneys and adrenals back in shape and get your kidneys filtering, Buck. Pull this lymph out of here because nothing ever is good with pressure in the head. That's an acid pressure, and of course, that leads to glaucoma. Glaucoma is a lymph acid pressure, and that's the problem with glaucoma is that it starts to break down eye tissue, so you get dry eyes. What does that mean? Your eyes are dehydrated. You're burning. You're burning your fluids dry. Then what do you burn? The cells. And when you burn the cells, we like to call that macular degeneration or retina detachment or whatever you want. Wrinkled retinas, that's that process of dehydration, of course. We all get wrinkled when we dehydrate. Sucks the calcium right out of connective tissue, blah, 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 blah. So, if you want to, if anybody has glaucoma and somebody had it here in one of these things, by all means, you get, here's this, this is from Saudi Arabia here. And this is glaucoma. And I'm going to add this one because glaucoma, you've got to get, that's lymph pressure. That's not blood pressure, that's lymph pressure. And that is a very serious problem when it's in the head. Get this out of there because, honey, where'd I park the car? Blindness, everything else like that? No, 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 don't go there. So, in Saudi Arabia, I can't pronounce your name, I apologize here. ABO, but my brother has glaucoma and very, very, very dry eyes. He is losing his vision dramatically. Absolutely, my friend. Plus, provide us urgent tips. Move your lymph at all costs. Get that lymph, get those kidneys filtering, the thing killing. Get the eye wash and wash the eyes 2 or 3 times a day. Start promoting blood and lymph flow in the eye tissue. But at the same time, we're interstitial, so we have to go inside. You can use the eye wash internally as well as topically. At the same time, you want to get those kidneys filtering and get this draining down the back. I'd also use that neurolymphatic massage you see on our video back. Really start taking off for this, guys, and get this pressure out of the eyes, and then you'll rebuild the eye tissue and everybody's good. But get that out now. That is a serious problem, Saudi Arabia. Big problem. Trouble sleeping. Okay, so here we got the pineal gland involved because you have the pressure, you got a pituitary up there and you got a pineal gland up there, Buck, and that's what's going on there. You'll suppress that and you won't be able to sleep well. He has trouble speaking, minor trouble hearing, red eyes 50% of the time. So you're on fire, my friend. You're burning up here, Buck. We got to get that moving. Just like you said above here, you've got to get this moving. Low pressure in urine. Well, you know, the prostate gets beat up with this kidney and adrenal thing, so get your PSAs checked. But you've got to get your prostate. All that inflammation in the bladder, urethras, all the swellings. clear urine. Hate when that happens. Slight depression. Okay, so we're up to the parathyroid here, which could be for the microtoxin, and that could be true. It could be true. And Candida can make you a little depressed too if you get too much in you, seriously. But true depression is linked right to the parathyroid and the lack of utilization of calcium. And also found teeny pin-sized holes on the inner lower lip leaking out fluid. Wow. Well, it's interstitial fluid. That's your lymph system, and you're burning. You're on fire, Buck. You're very acidic. You've got to get your adrenals up, get your kidneys filtering, and get that lymph moving. Two kidneys, 2 lymphatics, keep hitting it. Someone has been using our new kidney number 4, and we've been fighting with this lady. She's an RN. She's been fighting. She's older. Been fighting with heavy kidney failure and edema of the legs. Kidney number 4, she put her on kidney number 3 and 4. That's our new ones, and whoop, legs went right down. It's like, wow! So I don't know. These new formulas are looking pretty good. So we'll see what happens there. I hope they turn out, because we really need to have some powerful herbal formulas with everybody that's suffering so much. You got to get your lymph moving. I'd wash my mouth out with Heal All Tea probably there, Buck, as well. I discovered this by taking a soul salt solution and covered my lip. Well, look at that. Well, you know what? The same thing. Unfortunately, the same thing can happen in your eyes. You can punch holes in you. I mean, that's what acids do. They punch holes in the brain. They create lesions. I mean, that's what acids do. No surprises here. No surprises. Once it dried, I could see holes in my lip leaking fluid. Oh, man. This is probably fungus trying to put a signature on the food, just like the parotid gland. My lips used to break out in sores, crack and bleed in the corners. Extreme dehydration, Buck, goes up in the head as well. So when this is drying and cracking, what's your brain doing? Isn't that scary? It is scary. And we have to understand how important this level of healing is to this planet and Homo sapiens right now, because we're in big time trouble. Forget about the governments. They're always a problem. It is your health, and it's their health. Half the government people are sick and can't think too. We need to give everybody some royal enemas and start cleaning them out. That'd be good. Especially the Bilderbergs right now. Let's go get them, put them upside down, give them some enemas, give them some raw foods. Maybe they'll rethink the one world order thinking. Nah. I slowly transformed my diet to a raw, eliminating all meats and breads, and finding out I'm eating all fruits, melons, and berries. Buck, go! I just ordered the Fab 4 and I'm going to give it a try. Don't give just the Fab 4. 2 kidneys, 2 lymphatics. Adrenal 400s for the adrenals, and go that way. At least go that way. And start work on your bowels too. You want this to drain. So get the GI broom, your stomach and bowel number, whatever you need. But get 2 kidneys, one capsule, 1 liquid of kidneys and lymphatics, 1 of each one. And really kick up this another notch, Buck, and really get in there. You might have to go on a little grape fast or something like that to get this to drain faster. Hot and cold back here. Work on those neurolymphatic points. You can use the one they have out there, I guess. What do they call it? The XP1. You can try that. Not so good about those things. I had a salad for lunch. Salad and coleslaw. I slowly change. Okay, I'm eating all fruits. I already eliminated about 7 small parasites. Ooh. From just a week of eating fruits, veggies, and lemons. Cayenne, maple syrup mixture for lunch. I just use the parasite M&G and get rid of them all there, Buck. Once I get more cash, okay. But, see what they can do for you. But for now, do you think the Fab 4 will be enough? I would go a little more aggressive with that. Even if you just did, say, Parasite M capsule. That's enough to kill any worms and stuff like that. And Candida and everything else. So you could do that with stomach and bowel number whatever. You could do a lymphatic, say, to start with lymphatic 1 with capsules, lymph node 1 in liquid, kidney number 1, and kidney number 2. Kidney number 1's a capsule, kidney number 2 is a liquid. And go down that way. And then you could go up to lymphatic 2, a lymph node 2, kidney number 3, kidney number 4. And just go down that road. We're trying to get a rhythm here where we've got formulas that are more potent each step you go. Take us a while to get there. Very expensive. That's why we're struggling right now. To bring out herbs and stuff. Costly stuff. Oh, and did I have my tonsils removed? Do you think it possible to regrow? Yeah, we've seen regrowth of tonsils. One guy, third time. I asked this one guy if he still had his tonsils. He said for the third time. He said after the third time I decided God wanted them in there. That's good healing when you can do that. But if one Homo sapien can grow a third set of tonsils, guess what? You know? The only differences between us are genetic weaknesses and how toxic are we? How acidic are we? You correct those two things, wow, watch out. So don't get over crammed with fungus and all this as causative factors of everything. You want to look at the major fluid of the human body and look at the genetic cells in the human body. The buck stops at the cells and the fluids take care of them. Fungus and things play with, and bacteria play within that realm of how the culturing medium or the terrain, meaning the blood and lymph, is kept. By a diet, but also by a lack of elimination, because the lack of elimination lymphatically creates sewage in the blood even. That's why you see the word dialysis. Doesn't do any good for the lymph system with dialysis, but it keeps the blood clean, with however you wish to view that. So don't sweat the small stuff. Bacterium essential. Probiotics versus antibiotics, always probiotics. I do not recommend probiotics unless you're really serious. And if you have serious problems, remember the story of the man who ate rotten food. But I will say there's an easier way to clean your lymphatic system. And by doing it this way, you're fixing why you have a lymphatic problem. You're fixing why you have a candida problem. You're fixing your sugar metabolism so you don't walk up to hyper or hypoglycemia or diabetes and that sort of thing. So look at that. The bacteria in the body, you never want to kill the bacteria. Remember, bacteria live in your lymph nodes. They're essential to break down acids. You don't get rid of bacteriums. Those are the good guys. We got to learn to get along and play with all the boys. That's why I say, you've got a kid, get them on a farm. Get them dirty. Get their natural immunity up. Get away from this ridiculous concept of vaccinated immunity. So city slickers, get dirty. So it's been a pleasure. I hope this is enough to answer your questions on that, because that's all I guess coming through. So I love you all. You all are so sweet and so good. I know some of you are going through the ups and downs, and we get a bizarre one once in a while, of course. But you know what? Keep your eyes on the horizon. Keep steady. Keep your focus. Get your bodies healthy. And stop over-analyzing. Keep it simple, sweetheart, and keep your love strong, and give everybody you know a hug. All right, love to you all, and what I'm going to try to do is, the next video won't be a short one. It'll be a question and answer video. We have so many questions to answer here that I can't do them all in little videos. So we'll do, once in a while, we'll do a long question and answer videos, and I'll catch up with these small videos. Send in anything you want me to cover on a small video, and I'd be happy to do it. So anything for all of us to get well and to become a strong word for God and for health. Thank you. Bye-bye now.